Welcome to Ask a Painter.
All right, folks. It is a beautiful Friday morning here. Fall. We are getting just beautiful weather here. The boys are hanging out with me in the war room today. Surfer Boy and Gator Boy. Gator Boy fresh off his first skunk kill yesterday on our farm. So he saved the neighbor's dog from getting sprayed, which is really cool. Today, we are going to talk about the hero's journey of trades business owners, and I'm going to overlay my experience as a paint business owner and drywall and carpentry now on that, and we can kind of see the trials and the tribulations and some of the quick fixes. So first off, before we dig into that stuff, thank you everybody for watching. It's been over 4 years of doing this, and it's been awesome. This hero's journey that I've been on over the years is not done yet. Nothing is 100% solved, but I've had an easy go of it, an easier go of it because of all the people I know from this show. I've also had an easy go of this. My hero's journey actually got started in the trades business world when I met the people through the PCA, the Painting Contractors Association. None of this would be possible without the people that I met, the perspective that I gained in the PCA, and I would urge you to do the same. Everything that I learned about job costing, industry benchmarks, everything that you guys know me for, I learned from somebody else, and I internalized it, I made it my own, I tweaked it for my own using, and then I regurgitated it out to everybody else. So today we're going to talk about that hero's journey. And I will also say there's a link at the bottom of this show. If you're curious about how to start your hero's journey, I would urge you to start with the PCA. It helped me. The hockey stick curve, which I always talk about. Mediocrity, pretty good. This right here is where I met the PCA. So let's dig into this hero's journey. Joseph Campbell, if you guys don't know him, a famous thinker, author, he actually sort of quantified a hero's journey. Think about Luke Skywalker. Think about comic book heroes. Think about major war heroes from World War I and World War II. Heroes follow a similar kind of arc, and I am speaking in hyperbole. Paint business owners aren't normally heroes, but we do follow this journey. There is a historical, stereotypical hero's journey that people go on. We start at a certain place and we get called to adventure. There's a calling. Think about all the movies. Think about Braveheart, all this other stuff. They get called on a journey. At this point, we're in our home, we're safe, we're in the land of the known, things that we know. And at some point, we cross a threshold into the unknown, into the adventure part. When we cross that threshold, every single hero is met with the road of trials, a series of trials. And think about your own paint business. Hey, we're doing good. I'm either working at a paint business, I'm a welder, I'm in college, I'm in high school. I'm just gonna start a paint business. Your first step is into the unknown, and then you start your hero's journey. And the first thing you have to go through is that slog of the road of trials. So there is a complete circle that a hero goes on. After that, typically at the end of the road of trials or somewhere in it, you get into the point of no return, the abyss, where a hero has to make a huge, it's a test. They have to make a huge choice, and there's like a metamorphosis after that where they accomplish this goal or not, and they're changed because of it. And then they start reaping the reward of this hero's journey. And then the final sort of part of every hero's journey is giving back and sharing that reward and that boon. So the part that we're going to talk about today is just the trials and the tribulations. Basically, this is a sneaky way for me to say, here's the 4 to 6 things that all paint businesses encounter, and here's how I've tried to solve them or have had some luck solving it. So let's go through number one. Number one, before you start saying, oh, how do we estimate, how do we do this? You got to get good. Getting good is number one. And how I did this is tracking simple data. Again, mastering the basics. Tracking your job costing and basing it on industry benchmarks. So basically, how you can set yourself up for failure for getting good is trying out all your coatings. Number one, scratch test with primers, testing different applicators, brushes and rollers, and different top coats, and tracking the results. Also, start tracking labor hours and paint used on each job. And even if you don't use it right now, even if you don't throw it through a algorithm or compare it, at least you'll have the data to do later. Coating science and job costing, the actual accounting for your jobs, to me goes hand in hand, because on some jobs you'll make a wrong coating choice and your job costing will get way out of whack. So number one, get good. Start doing the scientific process, which is when I was a single person painter, I knew that I had to conquer the what kind of paint do I use and where do I use it and how do I apply it. So I used the scientific method and I overlaid the idea of earn or learn. If I did well on this job, that's a good data point. We now have a proven thing that will do well. If I did not earn on that project, if it took me too long or I had a failure or something didn't work right, a paint didn't cover in 2 coats and it needed 3 or 4, now you have to now you have to learn. You earn or you learn. When you learn, you take those notes, you do your job costing, and you say, okay, when I'm on this situation and I use this primer, I don't get a good result, so we're not going to use it, we're going to try another. And you have to be super intentional about trying that stuff out. Okay, now after you get good, you know how to paint, you know what applicators to use, you know how to do stuff, you have standard operating procedures. Now you're going to start hiring your first human. This is the first huge trial that a paint business or a trade business owner faces, because you're bringing in another human to this thing that you hold dear. What I see is that people do not job cost, they don't have job descriptions, they're not ready, they don't actually know how to paint sometimes, and they start bringing people in. And you are adding so many variables, so many problems, potential problems to your business. It's going to be very, very rocky. The best thing you can do before you hire somebody is pass that first hero's trial, which is get good. Know what paint, where to use, how to put it on, and get your jobs done. Know that you can do a really, really good work and make money at it. Then bring some people on. When you start bringing people on, to me, the entrance fee, the thing that you must do all the time, and that which I see almost no businesses do, and I didn't when I first started, is you got to lay the foundation, the groundwork for bringing employees in. This is sort of the admission cost of bringing employees in, which to me is basically, you got to have a job description. This sounds stupid. It is more valuable than you know. You're going to have a job description saying, I need these days, these hours per week. This is the kind of work we do, and this is sort of what I expect out of you to do this stuff. So that when somebody says, well, I didn't know you were going to make me work 9 hours a day instead of 8, well, that's in the job description. And you want to be very honest with people about that. Let's see, job description, then you're going to need deliverables with that too. So again, I was raised in the trades where everybody screamed at me saying, do better, do faster. And I felt like I was breaking myself, and my business owner, my father, seemed to be making enough money, but it was never good enough. And so finally, I didn't know what was good. I didn't know what was fast. So getting some simple metrics like you must produce $55 of revenue an hour and you must have less than 5% callbacks or no callbacks on your work. That is a standard. That is something where you can look back, and if you do your job costing, you can actually say, all right, Bill, you've been painting for 3 months now. You asked for a raise. Let's go back through and let's actually see, have you produced $55 of revenue an hour? Have you worked 40 hours a week? Have you got less than 5% callbacks on your work? If they have, maybe let's talk about a raise. But if all those numbers are off, you could say, well, I'm here to help you. Let's take another 3 months. Let's get those numbers up, and if you do that, we'll give you a raise. It's a simple thing. I like the light switch sort of analogy where in order for humans to succeed, they need deliverables. You either need to succeed or fail. That's the most sort of helpful thing for people. And if we don't set up the maze and the game so that people know if they succeeded or failed, then it gets confusing and people get disheartened by that thing. So, employee manual. This is a huge thing. Now, it's very important, it's very complicated, it's probably going to be 75% employment law about here's what happens when you want vacation, here's what happens when you go on medical leave, here, all this other stuff. Very complicated, but also you can just find stock versions of this all over the place and kind of manipulate it to your own company. But having that baseline of employment law in there too, just so we know what's going on, is good. Like, how many days off do you get a year? What happens when you call in sick? What kind of protocol needs to be done? If you get injured, what do you have to do before you come back? Military stuff, things like that. And then the final part of this, which most paint business owners are pretty bad at, is accountability. We call these GSRs, goal setting and review meetings. So every year, 4 times, I will sit down with every person in the company, and we do a goal setting and review meeting where we take these deliverables, these standards, these $55 of revenue an hour, and these callbacks, and we actually show people that they have teeth in our company. We even use our core values in them too, to actually rate people and say, based on these, this is what you're doing. You're doing well, you're doing poorly, here's what we need to train on. A big part of this is not just a review, because employees don't look forward to these things. So I like to use them as goal setting meetings as well. So basically, I give a person a goal. I show them that I'm willing to train them to meet that goal or surpass it. And then 3 months from now, we check in on that goal. And that's accountability is the thing that makes employees succeed. Now, I even get a GSR done on myself from my leadership team every 3 months. And I ask them to be as harsh as possible. And that's how I improve. It's a good thing. So again, on the hero's journey, number one, know what you're doing. Get good. Number two, when you hire your first employee, make sure you set the groundwork first. That way, listen, you're never going to solve people issues. Winning with people will allow you to win in almost every industry. That is the key to all this stuff. Most people don't have problems painting, they have problems with people. The better you are with people, the better systems and processes you set up around people, the more you're going to succeed. So, number one, get good. Number two, hire your first person. The third sort of trial in a hero's journey is managing and not painting. So, every one of these things, every time I cross one of these things, I always think, well, how could this ever work? If I don't do this, this will go wrong, and then I'm going to lose my whole company, my house is going to burn down, my wife's going to divorce me, all this other stuff. Turns out that never happens. You do have some ups and downs with all that stuff. You learn or you earn, but managing and not painting, or managing and not doing the specific work is the next thing. So there was a point in my time when you bring an employee on and they paint with you. And then you bring a couple employees on and they kind of paint with you as well. And then maybe they'll go off and do their own bedroom and you do yours. And all you are is nervous about that, even though I'm painting this bedroom here and they're painting that one. Oh my God, if that client finds out that that bedroom isn't as good as this one, it's all going to be over. It's fine. You got to get enough data points in to understand that there's a perspective scale that I sort of came upon years ago that really helped me understand this. Most solopreneurs, most single person paint business owners, if we go on a scale of like 0 to 100, we can do like 98 because nobody cares more than us. Nobody will work harder. Nobody will think more. Nobody will experiment more. And out of 0 to 100, a 100 being perfect, which is impossible, we can do like a 98. We can do so good. Employees will come in at about a 78 or an 88. And I used to burn my company down over and over. I used to fire people like, what is wrong with you? Why can't you understand this? Why can't you do a 98? Just 97. Just do 97. We're good. The perspective I didn't have is that I was bringing people into the trade like I was brought into the trade, which is I have 20 years of experience and nobody's thought about this more than me. And I have somebody who's here for 3 to 6 months, never been in the trades, and I'm trying to bring them up to somebody who's been in the trades for 2 decades. That is wrong. If solopreneurs can do a 98 on that 100 scale, your employees can do 78 to 88. The perspective that we all need is that most clients only expect a 68 to a 70. My employees were surpassing the client's needs, but I had this unrealistic martyrdom level of craftsmanship that I wanted to see, and I was actually being a very regressive business owner. So the managing and not doing all the work is when you're on site is kind of the first threshold, and then after that, what happens is sometimes you're not on any of the jobs. You'll check in once in a while, and the thing that you have to internalize and swallow is basically the people you employ hopefully will do better work than you. If they do not, they're still going to surpass the needs of the client. And that's just something we have to internalize and get over. You can still have that feeling, you can still know it to be true, but don't let it ruin your day and don't be a bad boss because of that. Now, that doesn't mean you can't train the living daylights out of people and hope that they become world class and they can do even better than you. But until that happens, you have to understand that don't burn your company down. Don't punish people if they don't do exactly what you do, because even if they're in the trades as long as you are, business owners care at a certain level. We have risked a lot to get where we are and to possibly get where we're going. And that's a different level of risk sometimes between employees and business owners. And we want to coach, we want to mentor, we want to give everybody the opportunity to do all these things in the trades. So being happy, coaching people and giving them goals and helping them with those goals is a very big thing, because you never know what kind of hero's journey they're on as well. So getting good, number one. Hiring your first person, number two. Managing and not doing all the work is number three. The fourth one, I was kind of iffy about this one, admin. So there's calls, there's emails that come in, there's stuff that goes around. Getting that off your plate first is the next kind of hero's journey, which is, do you bring somebody in to do it? Do you hire somebody as an admin to bring it in? Or do you just say, well, you know what? I like accounting. I do like accounting, but it's also taking up a lot of my time when I could be managing or training painters. So let's just find an accounting firm and pay them a couple $100 a month and they'll do it all. That's what I decided to do years ago. So for me, admin, a lot of people bring it in-house. I just outsource the stuff. I like that stuff. Now, one thing I'm going to overlay on the next 3 to 4 Hero's Journey portions is replacing tasks with accountability. People have this fallacy that when you stop doing your admin, you have crossed it off the list, you never have to think about it, it gets done autonomously, it's a perpetual motion machine, and you never have to check in on it. The best paint business owners I know and that I take inspiration from, they take a 2-hour task and they replace it and they give it to somebody else and they replace it with an hour of accountability of holding that person accountable to that task. So for every job that I give to my craftspeople to do, I still have to hold them accountable or hold the chain of command accountable. It's not something that you wipe your hands with and you're sitting on a beach drinking a blue drink. Tasks replaced with accountability. That's the key to win. When paint business owners replace tasks with nothing, their paint businesses spiral hard down. And I've seen it many times before. So get good, hire a human, manage, not do all the tasks, not doing all your admin work. The next one is not doing all your production work. This is basically estimating the amount of paint, ordering paint, scheduling crews, checking in with crews, getting supplies that they need. This is another thing too, where I was like, how is this ever gonna work? I know so much about paint. I know all the little bits of it. They're gonna order 1,000 gallons of paint. They're gonna bankrupt me. We're gonna order all the wrong paint, wrong colors, everything else. And it's one of those things where, again, the theme of this is you can't imagine how it's gonna work when you don't do it. We think so much of ourselves. Turns out my first production manager, Holly, has never been a painter, was never in the trades, came on, adapted, learned, took my 20 years of experience, showed her a few examples, and for over 2 years now, she's been doing amazing work. She is a world-class production manager. The second production manager we brought on, Barbecue Justin. Justin's awesome. He came from a completely different background, a little entrepreneurial data entry. Holly was in education, and you know what? With a good mind and accountability and some basic metrics, he's doing world-class production work too. They're doing it better than me. Justin this last year brought on an app that innovated our production process, streamlined it, and visually brought in everything so it's more intuitive. If you find the right people, if you have the right accountability measures, if you have the right incentives to then give these production managers the will and the need and the want to succeed at a high level, they'll innovate far past you will. I never would have had the time or the intelligence to do what my 2 production managers are doing now. And so again, it's one of those things where you think, how could this ever work? Turns out it might work better. You might be a better manager than you are a production person. Somebody else can probably do that better than you. If you can just manage that system, you might be better off doing that stuff. So get good, hire a human, manage, don't do all the tasks, admin, production. The last big thing, one of the last big things, there are some more trials in here, but the estimating and the sales portion of this whole thing. Now, I just crossed this threshold a couple months ago when we brought on estimator Andy. Again, we followed the same template of the production managers, which is good people, decent human beings, following our core values. We have a job description. We have deliverables. We have a super good incentive system for that. I have data and metrics from almost 30 years in the trade about sales data for every little thing, how much we charge per door and drawer, per room. We have the sales process down. We're doing on-site estimates, all this other stuff. This is so important when you do this. Again, a year ago, when I was thinking about the estimating process, this is the last big thing that I was holding on to because I was doing all the sales for my business. For a 25-person business, 27-person business. If I was to disappear today, we have about 2 months worth of work and then this business would cease to exist. That's not good for all of my craftspeople, leadership team, and everything else. So basically what we need is a little redundancy. We need this thing to work without me. Not that I don't want to do it, that I would like to have the option to intervene or not where I need to and do this stuff. So basically estimating was the big thing a year ago that I was like, listen, if somebody else does the estimate, that's a big threshold to step over for a paint business, which is, number one, somebody that pays my business may never meet me. And in 15 years of running my business, that has not been the case. Nick May, good morning. So listen, this is a huge thing. Not only will the painting not get done by me, the paint ordering and the scheduling won't get done by me. And then the estimate won't get done by me. So theoretically, somebody could get their house painted by Nick Slavic Painting and Restoration and have never interacted with me. That is a scary thing for somebody who has broke themselves for 15 years based on the core values and to build something that you can have a good reputation in your community and people think, oh yeah, he's a good guy doing good things. He's got good jobs and things like that. So we passed that in the last couple months here. And I have to tell you, we deputized Andy with some big goals to bring our lead time down and our sales price up and our value and our quality up. And he's done it, just like the rest of the leadership team. And again, you see the theme coming here, which is, how could this ever work without me? Well, it turns out it can. And a lot of the times, it's better. And so it's interesting that, again, going back to the whole thing of replacing tasks with accountability. I think this is the key to the entire hero's journey. Now, you can take this hero's journey a little farther as well, and you can say, well, now that you're not doing that, now you got to hire an operations manager to oversee your entire business, or a general manager to oversee your entire business. And then maybe we'll get a board of directors, and now there'll be, I'm just a shareholder in my business. Most paint business owners don't go past the sort of getting rid of all the tasks and managing the tasks. There are more pieces of this, but honestly, the one piece of advice I can give you through all this stuff, the thing that I've found, now listen, I don't have this figured out. Not many people do. This is very hard. There's too many humans in this to be an easy go. If I can give you any advice though, it is this. If you replace a task with something, replace it with accountability. Have a system in place every week. One of the best things, one of the best systems, and one of the systems I look forward to the most each week is job costing at our production meeting, which is my two production managers will job cost every single job that is completed the previous week, and we actually go through every single one of them. And we basically get a this or a this on that job. If we didn't do this or waited till the end of the year, we could not spot problems in quarter one until it's quarter four. Accountability is everything. Sales percentages for the estimator, the closing rates, and average job size and things like that are very important as well. So, all right, folks, thank you everybody for watching today. I'm going to spend a little extra family time today with my family. I've been putting in some long hours. This is an interesting phase of business. The hero's journey is not through for me. I've slogged through some of the hardest things in the paint business. A lot of them aren't solved yet. We're still tweaking, but we've slogging through this hero's journey has got my business to a place that took 15 years. Really 4 years. 4 years if I'm really honest. The rest of the time was largely unintentional, just go out there gritting it through, making money for me and my family. But it was unintelligent and unintentional. The last 4 to 5 years, since I started meeting people who know what they're doing and seeing examples of that and knowing that I was doing a really ignorant sort of thing here, just gritting through all this, it's really changed. And for the first time in 15 years, I can honestly say, if I was not here for 6 months, this business would run very well. And that's a really interesting place to be in all of a sudden, because now I was talking with another paint business owner yesterday that you kind of have to find a new role for yourself in all this. Accountability is big, but then you have to start going to the next part, which is, now what? How can we make my employees the happiest people on the planet? How can we make them world-class craftspeople? Let's just not do industry average stuff. Let's take it to a whole new level where when people find out what we're doing here, they're like, what in the heck is going on up there in Minnesota? That's the next stage. And that is a very, very, very tall cliff, big chasm in the hero's journey, which is now the tasks get harder. You know, handing off painting to somebody else, in hindsight, is very easy compared to what lies ahead of me. So, just like with Ask a Painter, you guys have the privilege of watching it happen in real time and the experiments and the data, and I really look forward to this next year. This year, global pandemic, political stuff, you know, all that other things. Besides, we had a great year. People are doing good things. People want our services. We want to give them our services, and people are happy. And for a large part, it's because of all these things that we've been through. And I'm really, really looking forward to 2021. It's going to be an amazing year. And you win with people, and you win with accountability. So if you guys need, we're having countrywide sort of flare-ups with COVID all of a sudden, if you guys do need my COVID plan, I'm always happy to share. You can always email me, nick@nickslavic.com, and I will send you the COVID plan that I use for my business to ease out these bumps and give people safety, clarity, surety, and comfort through a lot of these times here. So everybody, thank you for watching. Thank you to the PCA, the Painting Contractors Association. Again, my hero's journey started. Are you tired?
Yeah.
Tired of hearing me talk?
No, not really.
What are you doing, dude? Coloring?
Coloring.
Coloring Mandalorian stuff? You guys are awesome. Okay, so my hero's journey started with the PCA years ago, between 4 and 5 years ago. And I'll tell you, PCA's got a bunch of free resources, and they got some of the brightest minds in the country. There is a membership fee. If you don't want to pay it, just check it out. You're not going to be wasting your time. I'm here for you. The PCA is here for you. And the rest of the Ask a Painter community is here for you. And I'm really looking forward to the holiday season and then 2021. So I'm here to help, guys. If you need anything, if you need help with any part of your hero's journey, I'm always here for you, as you know. And we will talk to you next week.